All right. Let's get this out of the way first. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast are solely those of the speakers, guests, and host, and do not in any way represent the thoughts or views or opinions of any other employer, partnership, or sponsor. The material and information in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should be used at the listener's discretion. Team Builder. Team Builder is a software for firefighter-specific tactical strength coaches around the world. It is used to prepare first responders and rescuers to meet the demands of the job. Our powerhouse platform provides coaches with an elevated experience when it comes to program development, data tracking, and staying connected with users. Our software allows coaches to individualize training and quickly track exertion of each user to make informed training decisions. Head to teambuilder.com, teambuilder.com, and sign up with code TTFP. That's for the Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast. Sign up with code TTFP to start a 30-day free trial. Hyperice. They want to be in the fire service game. They want to be in fire stations. They want firefighter to use their stuff. They got a lot of stuff to use, but they want to give out a free trial of their Hypervolt Go 2 massage gun. This is the portable massage gun. It's a little bit smaller. It can easily fit in a backpack. I take mine to all my seminars. I got 2 of them. Take it back and forth to work with me. It's awesome, and they want you to get one for your fire station. So here's what you can do. Reach out to me, Fourth Shift Fitness. Reach out to me, Chris, at Fourth Shift Fitness. You can go through email, fourthshiftfit@gmail.com. That's number 4thshiftfit@gmail.com. Or go on Instagram and message me, number 4 at Fourth Shift Fitness, and just let me know that you are interested. I'm going to give you a link. It's going to send you to a scheduling page. They want to do like a 5-minute phone call with you. Just get some information so they can get some more intel on the fire service so they can better position themselves to get us better equipment. After that, they're going to send you a Hypervolt Go 2 massage gun for free. You get a 60-day trial. At the end of that, you can reevaluate if you like it or not, send it back, and you got yourself a massage gun for your department. So reach out. It's an awesome offer. Listen, like I said before, it's not a giveaway. It's not a contest. It's not a promo code. You just get a free massage gun for 60 days to try it out. And I will tell you that I'm way more impressed and I like mine way more than I expected to. And that's the only reason I'm telling you guys about it. So reach out. Let me know you want the link, and I'll get you that, and you can get your massage gun for your department. Here comes the intro. Skip forward 30 seconds if you want to get right to the episode. This is the Tailboard Talk podcast, the best health, wellness, and lifestyle resource for the fire service. We're using stories, lessons, and tips from the front lines to give a realistic view of what the job can do to us and how we can make it out alive. I'm Chris Morella, a firefighter since 03, medic since 05, full-time since 08, and promoted to lieutenant in 20. I'm also a personal trainer and strength coach, and I'm here to give you the best information and host the best discussions to make us capable and durable, both on the job and away from it. So grab a heater, steal some fancy creamer from First Shift, and let's go chat.
We're done.
We did something that a lot of people do today, but few will do it as well as we just did it. So how do you feel? How do you feel after your first meathead session back in 20-something years?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it'd be a little harder.
For slots. I thought I'd have to take 7 laps around the yard to cool down instead of 4.
Oh, actually, the best part of that entire workout was that feeling I had when you said, "That's it," because I already had it in my head that we were doing another set of those split squats.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the clock, and I'm just like, oh, only 30 left. And like, I started to get a little anxiety, like, I just want another 30. And you're like, okay, that's it. And the flood of joy.
I had enough.
It was really good.
I had enough. I guess I should have told you that from the beginning. That's only one time through, but
maybe you did. I might just have missed it, but
well, I don't know. I used to do that one more frequently, and then it's like, I'm sure you had a point when you were doing your Ironman stuff where you found a hard segment on the bike or a hard run, and there was that novelty phase of it, and you're like, I'm going to do this every day, and I'm going to get up before work and do this.
Yeah.
This little 5-mile segment, because it's such an ass kicker that I just love it, and I love the way it feels.
Yeah.
And then after a month of it, you have a bad session on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe I'll just find something else to do. So I did that one a lot, that sequence a while ago. And then I think I went into it one day when I tried to force it and it just wasn't there, and half-assed it, and halfway through I was like, I don't want to do this, and just kind of muddled through it, didn't get the effect, and then put it in the closet for a year or two,
Yeah.
But now it's back. For this past month, we've had it on the clients programming, and so I've done it a few times, and it's tough because the days that you push really hard, you know what it feels like. And then the days that you go in and you don't push as hard, you know that there was more left. And then it gets to the point where you're like halfway through and there's like a decision point. And it's only a minute, but there's a decision point of like, all right, am I really going to go for it, or am I just going to make it through today? And sometimes you just don't feel like you want to have that kind of decision in your life.
Don't you also feel too like there's a little bit of regret in the feeling of like, I could have gone harder in my workout?
Sometimes.
I've had that, and probably more recently too, because I used to be addicted to that feeling of emptying the tank.
Yeah.
Even if it was you brought up that Ironman training, like there were times where you would do a 20-mile run and, or 75-mile training ride, and you're holding a pace. You're not tempoing. You're not doing fartleks. You're not doing, any of these high intensity intervals. But every time I got within a certain distance of home, no matter the distance, I had to empty that tank. Yeah. I needed to just hammer it out.
Yeah.
And it just felt so good to be done and have that feeling of like, I don't know, there's just nothing better than that.
Yeah.
That feeling. But now it's like I'm so far removed from that mentality that it's like, I should empty I won't empty the tank. That's fine.
Like, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot. And I certainly remember the bad feelings of it. Like, there's been a few workouts here and a few times in training that I felt similar the way I did at the end of the Combat Challenge runs. And just that little touch of it was like, yeah, I definitely don't want to do the Combat Challenge again. Because I'll never want to go do it half-assed or like,
right.
I'm never going to want to do it just for the fun of it, because it's not like a fun thing. Like, it's fun to go see people, and it's fun to like do the opening ceremony or whatever, and it's fun to hang out afterwards. But the actual event is not fun. It's like, so you can't go in there and be like, I'm just going to, it's not like playing a game, like playing hockey, where you're like, I'm just going to keep it loose today and just kind of move around a little bit and have some fun and make some passes and blah, blah.
Right.
It's like, you're either doing it or you're not. And first of all, I'm not going to put the time in to train for it like I did that year that we won the Grand National Championship. Like, that was just it was just consuming. And then I know what'll happen is I'll get to the top of the tower and I'll be like 10 seconds slower than I know I should be. And then you still have a minute and a half of just hard work to go.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just don't want to do this.
You guys had such a great team for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you could feed off of each other's, same mentality, same energy. You know what I mean? Nobody was a sandbagger necessarily. And you just had that ability to train on a regular basis. And I don't know about you, but like when you were saying that, it just brought back like, I loved those Ironman years, but I liked the training more than I liked the event.
Sure.
And sometimes I would get to Ironman weekend and they got the expo and they got the events going around, and I just holed up you talk to Cam, and there was one year I got my own room because I needed to just isolate because I couldn't handle the people. I couldn't handle everything going on. It was just such an extravaganza mentality, and I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I wanted to compete, but also it was just like the journey was so enjoyable that I didn't want it to get distilled down to this one like superficial moment.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like, I don't know if that's how you felt when you would go to Vegas or whatever, but like you brought back that memory to me just now when you were saying like the event itself wasn't the best part necessarily.
Yeah. When I think back on it now, when I think about everything but the 2 minutes of running the event, it was just a lot of fun. It was like any other sport or team or anything like that. Right? And then you get the worst anxiety. Like you check in or whatever, and then an hour later they post the running order, and then from that point on, it's like, I'd really just rather just pack my shit up and go home right now. Like, I just don't even want to, I don't even want to be here. And that's just how I got, and other people might be like chomping at the bit to get on the course. I was like, I just want to crawl in a hole right now and just go home. And just don't even give me the participation thing. I'm good. And then just thinking of the events and thinking of the actual running it's just like tough. It's just painful. And like, you know that if you ever don't feel like you're at a breaking point while you're doing it, then you're not going as fast as you're not setting your pace.
Yeah.
So if you ever get to doing something, you feel like, oh, I felt really good, or like I feel really good running up these stairs, that means you're probably going slower than you should be.
Yeah.
And you feel good because you're not working as hard. And then you get done, you're like, how am I so much slower? I felt great. It's like, well, because you were at 90%, not 110% of effort for this thing. And then you get to understand what it feels like to have to give 110% effort every single time. And you're just like, I just don't want to. Like, I just don't want to.
How many years did you guys do that? I mean, where you were competing on that stage? Like
2 warm-up years, and then we made the run for it the third year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, so the first 2 years we did, and I was part of the team half of the second year, I think. I was just playing hockey and doing other things. And so I think there was like 3 or 4 each of those years. And the Grand National Championship year, we did 13 or 14. Like, it was just every other weekend driving to somewhere.
Yeah.
Montgomery or South Dakota or flying to the East Coast, or there's one in Michigan, one in Indiana, just everywhere.
Yeah.
One in Chicago, one in the south suburbs of Chicago, like Tinley or something like that.
I worked with Dan that year,
Constant.
and I remember you guys being all in. It was a big deal.
Well, and you brought up the team. That was the most terrible part about it. Was like Dan organizes.
Yeah.
Dan organized everything and got the funding for everything and booked the hotel rooms and secured the cars and
typical Dan.
Everything.
Yeah.
He treated us like his sons. Be here at 6 o'clock. We're leaving. Get in the back seat and sit there for 8 hours. And
even though you don't have to leave it till 7, he tells you 6 because he knows you're going to be late.
Yeah. Here's your graham crackers in your book. Like, shut up and sit back there.
Right.
And Shay was just unrelenting. I remember specifically there was at least 2 competitions where me and Tim were like, I don't think I'm going to go this weekend. Like, my knee hurts, or I just don't want to, or I'm just tired, or I'm just too nervous or something like that. Or this is like our 9th one. Maybe we're not going to win the points race, blah, blah. And we had an Air Force base as our main competitor that year. That's why we did so many, because Warren Air Force Base, who was government funded, was like, we're going to go to every single one you go to. So don't think you're going to win.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the season, we even threw decoys. Like,
what do you mean?
We just did this one, so we're not going to do next week. And Dan was buying plane tickets to go to Boston or to Lexington. And then we would show up there, and like they weren't there, so we considered that one in hand.
Yeah.
And then we would tell them like, yeah, we're going to Michigan this weekend, and we'd go to South Dakota or something like that, where the competition was less or something like that. It was like, so we were like, and so it took 13 of them to 13 or 14 to beat them. And so the other half was Shay, and Shay was like unrelenting to the point where we would have those days where like, I'm just going to tell them like, you guys can go to the individuals, we won't do the team event. And I'd be like, Shay, my knee is killing me. Like, I can't run this weekend. And she'd be like, cool, man. So I'm picking you up at 3. So I'll stop and get a couple knee braces at 2. And I got this topical stuff and also this. I'm like,
not listening.
Tim's knee hurts too. He's like there's just no getting out of it.
Yeah.
And so then you got to Tim and I, who were just, neither of us were married at the time, I don't think. I was. I think. I don't know. No, it was right before we got married. Tim was still just dating Sarah. And we didn't have kids. We had dogs. And so you had
different days.
Dan with kids and a wife looking at us and saying, I planned all this for you. And Shay with 3 young kids at the time, saying, I'm making you do this. And me and Tim were like, but I don't want to.
I want to sleep in.
Get in the van. So we did, man. They dragged us by the ear to 14 competitions, and we did well enough to win the points race, And but it was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot. I just picked up my race stuff from Station 4 the other day. It's been in a bag, just to hang my helmet up here.
Yeah.
And Tim got all giddy. He's like, "Are you taking it out?" I'm like, "No, it's going in my crawl space." Like
I'll tell you, that's something else too, because Dan's boys at the time,
they're young.
Were young, yeah. And I'm thinking about you and Tim getting drug around doing that, and you had said, you were with Katie and he was with Sarah, but dogs, those were your kids, right?
Yeah.
Like whoopity doo.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why I was able to do the things that I was doing for a long time because we didn't have kids. And it was that, last couple of events that made me have to rethink whether or not I wanted to invest this much anymore because, I'd come back from a training day, 6 hours
like
on
a legit day.
A legit day of training. And Cam would say, "You'll never believe what Ellen did," And I was like, "Oh, that sucks."
Yeah.
It's such a heartbreaker because, you love your kids so much, you don't want to miss anything. And, our job, we're already missing 24 hours that we can't control.
Right.
And then here it is. I'm like, I got a decision to make, and sometimes you just get so invested in something that you feel like, I can't quit. Like this, I've already gone this far.
It's a sunk cost fallacy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, dude. Yeah, it is. It is, but I no regrets.
Right.
I remember I went into a pretty dark place after the 2013 Ironman because that was the first time I had gotten a legit coach, paid for coaching, and I'm like, I'm going for broke. I'm qualifying for Kona this year. Everything's going to happen, and I hit all my benchmarks, but it was one of those weird years where they expanded the qualifying events, so they had to. Hawaii only has so many spots.
Yeah.
So instead of Wisconsin sending 10 people from my age group, they cut it down to 5.
Oh.
And so I hit all of my stuff and better.
Yeah.
But when I crossed, I remember, Dave Fell's buddy Ben, who's amazing athlete.
Freak show.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just incredible. He goes, "You got it." And I was like, "There's no way." And he goes, "Yeah, look at the rank." And he was showing me my unofficial results. And I was like, I had that like, oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah.
And the next morning they announced like, okay, due to the expanded events, we added Tahoe and we added this and we added that. Internationally, they added like 10 events. Oh. And so they had to spread those qualifying slots over those other ones, which I get, but it's just one of those like,
that was the year. Yeah.
That was the year. And I was just like, oh man, but that's when I was just like, all right, I'm done. I quit.
Well, I mean, you accomplished what you set out to do, just not.
Yeah. And to be honest,
just not. I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah. You talk about sunk costs. I mean, that's a sport that it's like owning a horse. You're just pumping money into it. There's nothing else. If you don't love it, get rid of it, you know? And like I said, I loved the training side of it, but I could do without the event. So
I think I'm going to run into this again this year because I'm kind of getting more into biking. And I already told Katie, I'm like, I might try to do like a cyclocross race or a gravel event that's like 50 to 75 miles, The way I can justify it to myself is like, let's look for places with events that we can go camp at. And I can do my 1 day of riding, and then we'll do 3 days of camping. And then we'll all be together. I don't have to feel like a jerk for leaving for a weekend and leaving you here. Like, I can't take one kid and do it, So now we're going to try to integrate maybe that into riding. And what I don't want to happen is to do the first event and get there and be like, I really just like riding on the road with Dave Fell better.
Yeah.
but I want to give it a shot, And I think
never know though.
Yeah.
And
I think bringing them along though will help because then it's like, even if I don't like this event, well, we still got 3 days of camping. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to try to blend both things and get away with a couple,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and you just kind of nailed it too. I mean, it's really the people. In my experience, anyway, it's like that year in 2013 when I was putting it all on the line, getting coaching, taking it more seriously than ever. I also took it less seriously in a lot of ways. Like I didn't get hung up if my tempo workout fell on a shift day or my I just switched them. And it was like something that my brain didn't allow me to do in years prior because I was just too like just hardcore about it. Like I can't move this day and I'd get done with a 20-mile run and I'd eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's dairy-free ice cream and sit in a cold bathtub for a bit and just like, it was just like I just took it way more easy in my frame of mind. But the best part of it was I trained so much with Chris and Bill Nangle and we just had a blast. We'd go into Verona and do the loop up there.
Yeah.
Finish, have a burger, maybe a beer, and just laugh about all the different things, and I think about all the times that I went riding with various people from like Tim. I mean, probably my best memory in all of triathlon was when he said, hey, I want to ride the hills in Bull Valley. And we went for a ride, and I look back and I'm at the top of the hill. I take a second and stop for him, and he's coming up climbing, and back then he was still learning how to shift right.
Yeah.
And he didn't find him in time, and he's coming to a stop. And he didn't know how to unclip at the time. And next thing you know, he's just hammers the ground. And he just gets up and laughs like Tim does. And I'm in tears because it's Tim, you know. But
and he's still got half a hill to go.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've told you about the time I almost killed him, like decapitated him on the fat bike.
No.
Did I tell you that?
No.
So he's gone to. So we do the fat bike ride up in Marquette, or we're going to Minnesota this year. So there's one year that Tim hates the cold. He hates riding bikes, and he hates fat biking. Makes sense. So he goes on these rides with us.
Yeah.
And he brings beer. He makes his beer and brings 50 gallons of it or whatever obscure beer he's bringing. So we were on this ride, and it was so cold. And then we got lost because it was this really terribly marked trail system. It was like a park district kind of thing, just enormous, expansive trail system. And we meet this guy. He's like 7 feet tall and cross-country skis with his dog, and he's got the stupid like patches on his nose and cheeks. And he, for all I can remember, he had like an Eastern German accent or something like that. And we're like, "How do we get out of here?" He's like, "Oh, just go down here and take a left and 2 rights, and you're out of here, dude." And he's like, "You're 100 yards from the exit." And like 4 hours later, we found the exit. Like, we were so lost. Now, this was a ride that was supposed to take like 2 hours. It was like a morning ride or something like that. We're going to be back here. We'll go get lunch. We'll come back for a nighttime ride. Then we're leaving the next day. So lost. Then it got a little bit warmer, and it snowed so thick as we're riding. So that made finding our way out so much harder. It was like 10 or 15 when we left. So the streets were iced over, and they just sand up there. They don't put salt down.
Right.
So then it got warm, and then it got cold again. And so then it iced again, and there was snow on top of the ice, okay? So the way to get out, we're like a half a mile on this gravel road that's iced over with salt with sand on it, new snow. And then you take a right, and you go up this 10-ish% grade for about a quarter mile back to the cabin. And Tim is dying. He wears a down jacket when he rides, so he's sweating through his down jacket. And he's got a stocking cap on and his helmet on top of that. So his helmet's like 3 feet behind his head, just hanging on for it's exactly that, hanging on for dear life. And he's got like gloves hanging, and he's like sweating, and it's just a disaster, right? And I'm riding. We make it out. And me and Craig are having a great time.
Yeah.
And we make it out, and I got my phone out. I'm like, and Tim is riding with his hands on the bars, but his head is looking straight down at his crotch. He's just like, he's dying pretty much on his bike, and his legs just won't stop moving. So I'm like, I'm going to ride up next to him and take a picture of him. This will be funny to look back on. So I get my phone out, and I have it in my left hand, and I take my left hand off the bars, and I'm on his right side, so I'm looking left. And I go, "Hey, Tim." And he goes, "Good." And I scared him, and he pushed the bars kind of into me. And when he did that, his tires kicked out to the left, and he hit the ground so hard. Oh. And I had my phone in my left hand, so I put my left forearm on my handlebars and put my foot down, and I kicked him in the back of the head so hard. Dude, I kicked him so hard in the back of the head. Like, his head fell right in my path, and right as I put my foot down, I went, clunk.
And I hit his helmet?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was so solid. And so I kept my feet down. Of course, I drag his head with my foot, right?
Yeah,
and
fold
him in half like a shrimp. And
insult to injury.
Oh,
right?
dude, it was so rough. And I put my feet down, and I look back, and he's in the fetal position, and his helmet got kicked over his face now. So it's like a goalie face mask, like from the 50s, And I look back, and he's just groaning like he's like he's coming out of a seizure. So, so we get him up and dust him off. He's still got a quarter mile at 10% to ride. So he ended up walking up the hill, and he didn't go out for the night ride. He was so pissed. But dude, I felt so bad. I kicked him so hard in the head, and it was exactly that, insult to injury. It was 3 hours after we should have been home.
Yeah.
He's completely depleted. He ate all his PB&Js like 2 hours ago.
Those are tough, right? When you're just exhausted, you're low on sugar, you're bonked, and yeah,
you're sweating through your down jacket.
Yeah, those are hard. Those are so hard. Yeah.
It was great. So he's going this year. So far, he's going this year to Minnesota too, which
Glutton
is
for punishment, man.
Which is great. It's going to be a great trip. We're going to rent some EFAT bikes this time because Coop got one last year. It was great. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll
Same group?
For the most part.
Yeah.
And I'll probably bring mine and rent an e-bike too, just because they're so, dude.
Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah.
All the enjoyment and half the work, you know.
Yeah, there's something else. I always kind of admonished people on e-bikes and then Bradshaw brings one to work one day. It was a really nice one.
Yeah.
And man, it was like a rocket booster. And I was like, what is going on with
this?
It's kind of addicting, really. I mean, that feeling of just like that boost you get.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And on the snow bikes, you don't do snow biking for climbing.
Right.
Like that's not the event. Like you can do hill climbs and road bikes and all that stuff. And climbs are events, it's cool. Climbing isn't like the event on snow bike. It's the descents and like flowing through this groomed single track and
enjoying it.
Yeah. And so you take out the worst part and you get all the fun stuff. I mean, it was so much fun. And then you had Coop, who is a great bike rider.
Yeah.
On an e-bike, and Craig, who is a phenomenal bike rider.
Yeah.
And Coop was like, I'm just going to stay in the back. I'm like, you can't stay behind me because I'm the slowest. And all you do is like rub my tire and like make fun of me. So Craig is like, I'll chase him. And it was the switchback climb going up. And he was pulling away from Craig, which frustrated Craig. But it was hilarious because he looked like the Wicked Witch of the West. He was like sitting upright, like, just like, up this hill. And Craig's like digging in, trying to catch him. He's like, he's just mocking him. Like, it was the greatest thing.
I want to know what frustrated Craig looks like because I've only seen a smile on that guy's face his entire life.
It looks like right before, when he's thinking about how to respectfully laugh at you.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but it doesn't change into a smile. And he's like, oh, he's about to blow.
Yeah.
So it's that. It's very polite, but seething. Seething on the inside. Dude, what is it? So it's 25 minutes of talking about bikes and working out and stuff. What a mess, dude. This will be a longer episode.
You can cut that.
No way. Yeah. No way. This will be a longer episode. But I think we're going to, you'll start talking a lot. You are doing something that's also extremely taxing right now. Like we were talking about this morning, the amount of miles you put in the car and just how wearing this whole thing is on you. Well, you say, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do right now, Joe Galli? You're doing a thing.
What is the goal?
Yeah.
Right now, the biggest addition in my life is this campaign for the AFFI District 4 Vice President position. And I think if it was a standalone item in my life, like just its own entity that I could just separate from everything else, it would be manageable. Yeah. But being president of Local 439 is work in itself.
Oh, yeah.
The last 5 years have been arguably the hardest in my union career. 16 years of a officer position in the union. This has been the hardest.
Yeah.
And no regrets. There's definitely times where I wish I'd have done things a little bit differently or whatever, but I hate that term, no regrets. But I don't.
I have regrets. Let me just tell you.
I have regrets too, I guess. But I mean, I don't regret doing the job. Sure. Like I guess what I'm saying is that 30,000 foot view, no regrets. But I do have my little
for sure
small ones. But I'm doing that on top of Local 439 stuff. I'm still a husband and a father and have a obligation at home. My job, right? I got to be an engineer, which is in its own thing. But then Matt Olson, our current vice president, about 3 years ago asked if I would be one of his assistant DVPs. And because I have an inability to say no to things, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. So I jumped into that. And that in itself is another job, that I don't get compensated for in any way. It's just the the job experience and satisfaction of helping, and I do absolutely love that part of it. Like last night last night, I'm mixing my dates up. It was last night. I'm at a local meeting, another District 4 local, and after I got done giving my pitch on my candidacy, they took a recess for their meeting and said, hey, if you want to, talk to Joe and whatever, answer any questions, blah, blah, blah. So somebody comes up to me and starts asking me questions and about FLSA, and I'm not going to get into that on your podcast, but like that's a whole nother spiderweb thing. And we're having a conversation about that. And she's like, wow, that's great. And we should talk more about this. And I was like, absolutely. Every local needs to know more about FLSA because you're probably losing money, not because your employer is being intentional about it or malicious. They just don't know.
Sure.
You don't know what you don't know. And it's a very complicated subject. So I'm talking about it, and I hang that up, and I turn around, and the union president goes, hey, I want to talk to you sometime next week, and we have coffee. We're getting ready for negotiations. I want to talk some strategy and stuff. And I'm like, absolutely. That's when I get really wonky, right? Like, yes. And so we're gonna have coffee and stuff like that. So those are the kind of things that like outside of Local 439 and all the things that I have to do for our local, I get other locals in District 4. Matt will get a call and say, hey, call Joe. He's up near you. He can help you out with this. Or, he's really good at this. Go do that. And so I'm really appreciative of these experiences because it gives me those reps, and reps are where it counts. The reps are what's actually giving me this, what I perceive as an edge in this race. Yeah. And so I never want to look a gift horse in the mouth. But all of this stuff is just so compounding. And boy, that was the long way around to answer that question that you asked. But
so you're going for a District 4 VP position, right?
Yeah.
So like I said it already, we were talking about something else. I couldn't remember what shift was what, Yeah. I'm a terrible fireman. Like I can't.
Likewise, yeah.
Like I look at.
What day is it? Yeah.
What day is it? I don't know what shift you're on. Is it first, second, third?
Yeah.
You can give me the colors. I'll look at the calendar.
Yeah.
I also do things that I know drive you crazy. Like, is my money in the bank account? Cool. Do I check my check? No.
Yeah.
Do I wait for someone I got hired with to say that we should have got a raise? Yes. Dude, it's not good. Okay. But I think I'm in the majority.
100%.
So all that being said, give me the structure of what a district VP is and what your transition from being a local boss to up the ladder in the rank structure looks like. Because I don't know. When you say District 4 VP, I'm like, is that here or is that like somewhere you want to move to? What does that mean?
Yeah. So good question. So a local president handles all of the issues that matter within the scope of the four corners of the contract, right? For their individual locals. So for us, we got 130 people, and I deal with the matters that affect 130 people. A district vice president for the AFFI. So first of all, it's 5 districts broken up across the state. Okay. District 4 is 60 locals, largest in the state. And I'm taking Chicago out of this because while they technically are in District 1, they handle their own business.
Right.
They're in there by virtue of their location and whatever.
Yes, they happen to be in Illinois.
Yeah, exactly. They're technically in District 1, but District 1 is separate from them. Anyway, these 60 locals, to put it distill it down to its simplest form, local presidents across 60 locals call on their district vice president for the resources that they need outside of what they can handle inside their own local. So, for example, I have called on Matt Olson a number of times in the last 5 years. Even going back when I was secretary of the local, I called him frequently. Hopefully Vince isn't listening because, statute of limitations is over.
Yeah.
But Vince was old school about stuff, and he was like, we can handle our own stuff. We don't need the AFFI,
Sure.
We're not going to mooch off of them and everything else. Let the smaller locals or the inexperienced locals use and abuse the district vice president more. And that's not what it's about. It's about giving every local all the resources they need. So when I call Matt, it's, hey, Matt, going into contract negotiations, do you want to look over my proposal just to kind of give me just your opinion on some things? And that's what they do. They look at it. They, hey, I got a grievance issue here. Do you think it's worth pursuing? Sometimes it's just getting your extra sets of eyes and ears on stuff. Maybe you have a fundraiser and you want that flyer for your fundraiser to go out to as many people as you can. So the district vice president switchboards that out to wherever it goes. Go back 5 years. I just said this yesterday. This is so coincidental, but we were sitting there talking, and it was 2 days ago. Me and Josh, who was the VP for a long time in that same period of time that I was president, thank God. So it was like, think about this, man. 5 years ago, we were running our original jump company model with truck 1, ambulance 1, truck 2, ambulance 2. And Josh goes, God, that was 5 years ago. Seems like 10 or 20 or a lifetime ago.
Sure.
Because so much has happened in just 5 years.
Yeah.
And when that staffing cut happened, that changed that model into 2 suppression jumps, which we know was ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. And then we went through another staffing cut, which took out engine 6 and all that stuff. During those times, I used the AFFI a number of times just to get our PR messaging. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just to run past, like, hey, we want to do a social media campaign. So they would send AFFI guys to our office and we would go over some stuff. So,
because there's rules.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you want to just do it your own way, fine. But, like my little campaign slogan is, you always want to have hashtags on your social media stuff. You know that better than anybody. But I made it better together, right?
Yeah.
To me, the whole point of unionism is bettering yourselves together, right? Like that's unionism.
That's exactly it. Right?
And when a local like us, and this is not a admonishment on previous presidents or anybody else, because they were my mentors and I respect the job they did. I just felt like we were never moving the needle by doing the same old. If we were going to get into a huge fight, a grievance arbitration, or a take court and all this stuff, just to not get our staffing back and spend $100,000 on all this fighting and lose all of our PR and our relationships with city council members and whatnot, then what's the point?
Right.
So we flipped the script, right? And to me, this last one with Engine 6, we only spent $3,500 on Engine 6 fight, and we got our staffing back.
Yeah.
And I give a lot of credit, not only the fact that we had a good labor management relationship with our chief right now, but we had good relationships with city council members who fought for us behind the scenes, and they did their job effectively. And that's the only way that things get done, if you improve those relationships. But moreover, that communication, it only works when you communicate with other locals too. Like, by me having that mentality that we can handle our own problems, I'm withholding valuable resources to other locals to learn from us, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so a district vice president, in my mind, isn't just providing resources, it's sharing resources. It's saying, hey, heads up, going through the staffing cut, guys, this can come to your doorstep too.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of what the district vice president does, is educates, communicates, and works as a switchboard to make sure that every single local in their district has what they need.
Okay. So another fundamental question then, is there a District 4 president?
No.
Okay.
No. So the structure of the AFFI, the principal officer structure goes, you have your president of the AFFI, that's Chuck Sullivan. You have vice president. It used to be called vice president at large. They've changed the title, same job. It's just now vice president.
Okay.
The vice president is Luke Howison. And then you have a secretary treasurer, Kurt Snow. And then you have your 5 DVPs across the state.
Okay.
And I missed one too. You also have your legislative representatives that are divided up in northern, central, and southern legislative representatives. Okay. So we have the northern representative, Steve Shetsky. And so that's how the principal officer structure is set up, and your district vice president. So in that structure, you have basically think of the AFFI as 3 branches, I guess you could say.
Okay.
You have your education side, your legislative side and your service side. The DVP is strictly in the service side.
Okay.
So where the vice president of the AFFI works on education, the president and the legislative reps work primarily in the legislative, improving the benefits at the state level, getting us things like, working with the AFL-CIO to get the Workers' Rights Amendment, for example.
Yeah.
The Substitutions Act, the SEBA benefits, all of these things that we have that, frankly, a lot of us take for granted.
Absolutely. I mean,
is because of what they do at the legislative area.
Yeah.
And then the service side is getting the resources to the individual locals.
All right, that's where we're going to cut this one off for this week. Did a quick poll on Instagram, and you guys decided that you'd rather hear 2 shorter episodes of Joe Galli than 1 mega long one. So that one was 40 minutes. Next one will be shorter. It will. But, man, I have a lot of fun talking with Joe, so I really hope you guys are enjoying it. We have a lot more to talk about. He goes further into the VP role, what he plans on doing with it, and, of course, some more stories, a little bit of Nathan. And you get to hear me ask more fundamental questions of stuff I should already know to the expert. So I get to feel like an idiot so you guys don't have to. All right. As always, if you need to reach out, at Fourth Shift Fitness on Instagram or Fourth Shift Fit, number 4TH for both those things, fourthshiftfit@gmail.com. Reach out, say what's going on. You can go to the Fourth Shift Fitness website, buy some merch. You can buy me a coffee to support the show. Or you can reach out and let me know if you want a Hypervolt Go 2 massage gun for your department. The deadline on that is December 31st, so make sure you get that done. There's been a couple people receiving them already. It's just as easy as it sounds. So, all right, I will talk to you guys soon. Let's all keep pushing forward to be more durable and capable, both on shift and away from it. I'll talk to you guys soon.